You said you were feeling like a man of mystery?
Yeah, man, look at me. This is ridiculous.
Well, that kind of face covering, it's bound to happen.
You know, everyone's a superhero now.
Like you said, too, you can notice a slight muffle.
You do, right? A little bit.
Which, for people, anyone having conversations in these things often, it makes it more difficult.
My facial hair is like, it drives me nuts because it's so bushy. You know, it's bushy.
It's the perfect transition to show that I have shaved since the last time.
Oh, look at him. He's so pretty.
Welcome to episode 22. James and Matt here.
Hold on, let me disassemble my mask. It's surgical, see? I have to do it from the back.
Become yourself again. No, it's good you got one, though. You said you ordered that online, right? Just got the thing, heavy duty.
I did, you know. It's
super plush, thick.
We got to get our new, what is it? This is the new style accessory for the world now, is masks. So you have to have your trendy, cool-looking, I have a Harry Potter Deathly Hallows, so it's got to be a pop culture mask for me, you know, something that's a little bit more, you know.
Did they market it as a Harry Potter mask when you got it?
It was...
like, were they ripping off the whole Mickey Mouse trademark thing?
We got it on Etsy. Right when this whole thing started, you know.
So you can get like Homer Simpson's beard with an Etsy mask.
There actually are.
No, but I want to know if 20th Century Fox is getting in on this or not.
Yes.
Or if it's just the Etsy rogue sellers.
Disney has face masks that they're selling on the Disney website, right? I saw those. Those were advertised to me on Instagram. And then a couple of the podcasts I listen to, they actually, in their merch area, they have... shout out to your mom's house. I love that podcast. It has the Tiger King. The Tiger King's.
Of course.
It says it's what is it? It's advertised as Meth Mouth, but it's the guy Johnny from him with the shirtless guy. It's his mouth, and that's the mask.
Famous mouths. No, it's perfect time
you know
for
what
it.
I mean?
I was gonna order a Steve Buscemi one myself.
Classic. That's classic.
Didn't get that far, but no, that's one of the reasons it's good that we're wearing them in our videos too.
Yes.
It's not just Disney pushing the culture.
No.
You know, it's not just because they're trying to reopen Disneyland. In China right now, they're just trying to make some of that money. That's why they're trying to sell his masks.
Something
really,
like
at the end of
$11
this.
billion they lost from the part. It's like, whoa! When you just, that's I think another interesting part of this is stuff like you don't ever see the wheels fall
wait,
off.
Matt, you're saying you find it interesting that something bad could have happened to your favorite company, Disney?
Hey, I just meant
in the short 22 episodes that we've been doing this podcast, the most beloved of companies,
not
Walt Disney himself.
Not beloved, mind you, has a lot of fingers in my life for sure.
Well, highly enjoyable. How would you describe Disney? You're there, Star Wars.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I have a lot of hands in that pie, but it doesn't mean the pie is not scalding hot, and I don't want to take my hand out of it. You know what I mean? But it's like it's already in there, so it's like whatever. And I have two kids' hands pushing my hand deeper into the pie. You know, this weird pie metaphor I'm going with. But you know what I mean? Like
I do know what you mean. Yeah, you're looking for children's movies. You're going to Disney. That's the association.
But,
so for the first time on this podcast, I have prepared an entire page of things we can discuss.
No shit.
And it was just today, this morning. I was excited to meet with you, so much so that even after 21 episodes, for the first time, I prepared some things we could discuss.
It's funny. I was this close from doing the same, like this close. I was like, we're meeting on Wednesday this week. We're a different day. We're getting together this week. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just read a bunch of articles and like my normally what I already read, but just start like bullet pointing things.
You were just bringing up the multiverse before we began, so you were this close to experiencing that other multiverse.
Right, you got it. There's another podcast where we both brought something. And then there's even a third one where I brought something, and then you didn't bring anything. So
we'll have to live those out. I think 25th episode, that would be a good one. As if one of us had not prepared.
Here you go, crazy idea. We just deja vu an episode. We just completely try to redo an entire episode. Later on down the line.
I'm pretty down with that.
Just try to remember what we talked about. Have some bullet points where we could look at and just kind of go back to those things.
Yeah, which one? I'm gonna say 14. Just kidding, I have no idea.
I was like, 14 was solid.
I really blew it in 9.
I'd love to redo 9 again.
Don't want to go too nuts here.
We should just redo the first one. Just like pretend and redo the first one. This is
If you can phrase up the time period between when we podcasted last and now, though, which, by the way, for sake of people not keeping track of my uploads, whatnot, it's like 10 days since we've shot one of these.
Yeah.
We just did a week and some change, pretty much. We couldn't do the full weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, now every 10 days it feels like 7 days. So we have to shoot this podcast now every 10 days because that's how much stuff occurs.
Right. It's like it's a weird feeling though. It feels like a lot of stuff happened, but then nothing at all happened.
Right.
No. It's still doing the same thing.
That's what's happening. Actually, it does accelerate certain elements, and other things are totally at a standstill.
Totally standstill. Yeah. It's
at least that's how I feel. But can you pin it down to a certain theme? like something specific in terms of topic or maybe a feeling from the last 10 days?
I would say what we kind of were hinting at the last one of like the opening up of everything. I'm feeling like the gates,
The loosening up too, right?
loosening,
People's
and
attitudes.
like everyone is like the dam of everyone's tolerance of this is about to burst. I feel like people, we have a lot of people who are like, you know what? Yeah, I want my freedom back. I want my freedom back. And you're just like, it's like, okay,
No, but everyone wants their freedom back. Everyone does want their freedom
Sure.
back. And those people, due to, I think, just mindset, are more willing to say it first. They're like the asshole that we need. The asshole that we deserve, the asshole that we need.
How about the asshole that we all have, right?
No, but there's always people who have to be on the front lines of looking like an asshole at first, and then eventually it's like at a certain point it's rational behavior.
Right. Well,
so once the lockdown has been 2 years, it's like we need to fight to get out. Yes.
2 years, yeah, 2 years, sure.
1 month, not long enough. Obviously, we're about 3 months in.
I think there's people that just revel in being an asshole and revel in being counterculture and.
Oh, definitely. That's why I said it's based on mindset.
Mindset,
It's just the
right.
people that like are that person, are the heel.
And I think
normally.
we are in a situation currently where the heels have more ammunition and more what's the word I'm looking for? Like we
Material?
deserve it more, right? The assholes aren't hiding anymore. I feel like they're more out than ever before. We've had this discussion. More than ever before. I guess maybe not. Maybe there's just more of a light shining on them, right?
What stopped you from coming up with a page of notes, by the way, or topics? Or
We just never done it before. I thought
Okay.
like we haven't done it before. That'd be silly. Like not silly.
Okay.
But I was
No,
like,
amen.
I literally was like, and it wouldn't have been like a page, but I would have like, maybe wrote down a little note.
Oh no,
card,
I
a
know it
couple
would have been a
things.
lengthy scroll. 8 to 12 meters.
Couple of things
I'm sure
on my
measured
phone
that
and
way.
Evernote, like, oh yeah, bullet point. We should talk about this. This was a cool news story. This was, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just like stuff, right? But I was like, no, we usually figure it out, But I think that we had this current situation makes us. There's things that you just want to talk about that are, coming up, and you know what I mean, like, just stuff, right?
Speaking of things we want to talk about, the thing that comes to mind, I think, if I had to summarize, because I was trying to do this morning, is just the complete disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street. That whole thing, how a lot of the stakeholders and people invested don't quite see things the same as the people who are contracted employees or were doing DoorDash or maybe are being bought by Uber now. In the case of DoorDash, they're actually being purchased. These companies are like mixing up and trying to figure out how to maybe take on more debt or survive a longer period of time. We have to stay indoors.
Or they're seeing how in this situation we can flourish. Let's take as much advantage of our flourishing as possible, right?
Yeah. Oh, so you think it's just like getting people while they're down?
No, I don't. Not like that, but you know what I mean. Like, oh, now this is our window, right? Like,
I don't even think people know how to like help one another fully. Like, we joke around about like Disney Plus being a solid bet now, or being able to watch stuff at home, like home entertainment. But it's hard to serve people, to figure out how to like take care of people outside of course the stimulus check.
But
the 1200.
And then you see people don't want to be taken care of. How much of it is like, I don't want the government's money. I want to go back and take care of my business that's making me money, right? Like we were saying before this started, like, with universal basic income, right? People feel better when they have it. It does not necessarily make them not want to live their passion, right? Yeah. So, you know what I mean? People need a purpose. So even if, it's like some of these people that are locked down, it's like, I want to go out to like do my purpose. It's not necessarily, I shouldn't vilify everybody. You know what I mean?
You absolutely need the purpose-based fulfillment. That's a huge piece. Definitely a huge part of it. But also, it has to do with, people actually getting these loans for jobs that are going to exist after this. And you mentioned UBI or some sort of financial teat that you could set up.
I like the way you said UBI, and he like winked.
Or some sort of financial teat. Which I don't know. By the way, UBI, is that like mainstream? Does everyone know what UBI is now because of Andrew Yang?
I think I was actually, it's funny.
At this point.
It was talked about that, like.
Percentage of the country, UBI, who can get it right? on the quiz, keeping in mind that everyone in the country gets half of things wrong. Half the people don't know the last president.
How about like 39 to 40% of people?
That'd be incredible.
I would say like a third of people, because there's a third of people that like pay attention, right? There is a third of people that pay attention, that are interested, that are like, or if you gave them like some context clues about it, they'd be like, oh, universal basic income. I would say close to 30%. But there's another. Before it was universal basic income. Oh, the freedom dividend. That was what he called it. Yeah. The freedom dividend, because he wanted to how you talk about things makes it,
packaging
matter.
Means so much to me.
So
that, a big thing I want to cultivate in this podcast is figuring out how to package ideas.
Brand them, branding. That's everything. Branding.
Sure, branding has a lot of negative associations with
the term. Again, branding.
I like to say framing, packaging.
Sure.
Packaging, even it's a package. It's sort of like a
consumerist.
Yeah. Framing is good, because then that can be like art. You can frame art in a certain way.
Art. Or you could frame up somebody for a crime they didn't commit, It's a frame job.
This is a personality test, it turns out.
No, but like the idea of him calling it the freedom dividend, right? Freedom, all those people love that word. There's a subset of America that freedom, and then, dividend, right? They're stockholders or shareholders in America, so they're getting their dividend from their it was a very smart language, but people want UBI.
I never know how to feel, though, because when I look at I'd say one huge major movement in terms of freedom in the U.S. is after September 11th with the onset of the Patriot Act. We've had a lot of freedoms be taken away in terms of what the government can look at, how it goes about doing business,
privacy.
Specifically as it relates to investigating, right? And if you could be labeled as a terrorist. And actually, I have a lot of reservations about what has happened, and now it's been almost 20 years. And I'm trying to think now that I'm like a 31-year-old individual, who's trying to take his seat at the table of American politics. I'm trying to wonder, do we go too far with policy like that? Are we going to take away now too much freedom from Corona? That's like one of the reasons I'm only being somewhat sympathetic to the protesters.
Yeah, no,
I know one of the times it came up on the podcast before, we're talking about the people with the ARs in Michigan.
They're walking in the Michigan State House.
In again, packaging, framing, all this stuff, it matters severely. So I don't want to act like I'm in any way being understanding of someone's lack of sensitivity, by bringing an AR to a state capitol. There's ways to do things, but I think that at some point you do have to have that conversation, and we have a podcast, so that's why.
Here we go. Speaking of that, I think that's completely valid. I also think that's almost a uniquely American thought too. I think
the autonomy, the freedom,
like that our freedoms are being impinged upon, infringed, right? The idea that we have freedoms that are ours, unalienable freedoms, and that the government, is an enemy in some way, right? Like they were talking about,
maybe enemy, maybe just not where power is housed. I think that's how I'd put it. That's how I would frame this idea.
Right, power to the people, right?
No, but if I had to if someone was asking me, maybe in a polling place, who's gonna hold the power over your life, or where do you want the seat of power to be for this or that domain? Whether we're talking about spraying chemicals in the air, that's like an EPA domain that I would maybe get on board with because I don't want land becoming toxic, but maybe there are other ones like how I can walk on my own property, how I can act on my own property, right. Those sorts of things.
Right. The idea that the governor of your state can lock down the state completely, and you just have to listen to what the governor says, right? Like that there's no recourse to that.
Even if the governor is living in a big city for that state, and everyone else in that state maybe is living under different conditions that have different economic consequences.
Sure.
Due to broad-based, top-down-based policy.
Yeah. I think that you are absolutely right. I think once you give up some freedoms, generally you don't get those freedoms back.
How do you feel about the Patriot Act example that I gave? Because you're the same age as me.
Yeah, no, I think that I was always very anti-Patriot Act.
Yeah, we weren't voting back then.
No, we didn't.
But
I was at an age where, I've always been, I don't know, I look at that shit, right? The Patriot Act was a big one that I think really screwed up a lot of things.
Civil forfeitures, right? Like, government, they find cash on you, they can just keep the cash
and
just claim.
Keep it, and that's it. And then the lack of recourse, it took a lot of recourse away from regular citizens to have questions like, hey, why are you doing this thing? But you see now how police don't seem to police themselves, right? And I don't know if that's indirectly because of the Patriot Act or the fact that we've kind of let a lot of our like you said, we've let a lot of things slide. We let them take a lot of things, and now I feel like they almost take too much sometimes, right?
Absolutely, and that's why I think you have to think deeply about the systems that you bake in. It's one thing to have like a company culture. It's another to have a company rule or a company policy.
Yep.
Where if you get written up X amount of times, you're fired. I mean, that changes what a write-up is then, in what ends up happening there.
Well, the idea of like, oh, we're just documenting this, but then the documentation ends up becoming something. Well, you have documentation. Don't worry, it's just documentation. It's like, well, why are we writing it down anyways if I don't have to worry about it?
Don't worry, it's just data.
It's just we just need to document it.
It's just metadata. I have to put my sweater on. It's getting pretty cold.
A little chilly,
out here. Yeah. We're shooting this a little bit later in the day. Not normally doing the weekend. You were talking about the activity level. Before you got here, actually, I saw the field near my house. Probably the most amount of traffic I've seen with the most number of people.
Yep.
There was like 4-on-4, 5-on-5 soccer going on right over here with young people, playing the game. First time I've seen it, really, this whole time. And to give people credit, people have been holding off, trying not to get out there. But now, like, the numbers of people I'm seeing get together, they're pooling.
Larger. Yeah, larger.
I want to do a little bubble math. That's why I'm trying to get to the bubble math real quick.
Yeah, totally. Everyone loves that term, by the way. I've been talking to my people about it. It's a great term. People love it. You could totally tell. We went over to my parents actually yesterday. We went into their house. The whole thing. You
went in their house wearing a hazmat suit.
Yeah, it's full PPE. No, it was just like, I'd say it a lot, but it was just, we want to be humans, right? You get to a point where...
Did you play 4-on-4 soccer with your parents?
We all got really sweaty, played Twister. Totally normal, perfectly healthy.
Little sweaty family Twister.
No, I didn't really hug my parents, but, my kids wanted to hug my parents, so I'd hug them,
Sure.
It's like...
Has anything majorly changed bubble math-wise for you since then?
Not really. Not really at all.
Because, one example, you brought up the hug on the podcast, that was like a taboo.
Well, back then, a couple weeks back, I felt like it was a little risky. But now,
right.
I'm seeing too much. I'm seeing too much.
Other
right?
people enjoying themselves. So you want a piece of the action, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some of that.
Yeah.
It's just bound to happen.
But too, you make justifications, right? Well, they're home all the time, and we're home all the time, so there's no way that they, their bubble's still solid, our bubble's still solid, so let's just make a big bubble for a second, let's just, put it together.
So as it turns out, bubble math is much like real math, where like at first you're doing the exact dimensions of it, right? And then over time it's like, I think that, 4 + 4, it's about 8. About
Should
10?
Be 8. It's about 8.
I think it's double digits,
I've done this enough to where it's totally 8. Yeah, but, you get stir crazy, The stir crazy does set in.
Yeah.
The same fucking things.
Have you done anything to try to get out of that, the stir craziness? Have you come up with new systems? I mean, share these with people. Have you got an idea to try to...
No, I
got some sort of reprieve.
Don't listen to me for fucking advice on that. No, I feel like we
You haven't started crocheting or something?
Crocheting, no. I make a lot of... I've been making food. I've been making more food. I've learned to cook a lot of different things.
That's pretty good. Because food is a major, piece of pleasure at this point.
Yeah, I've been making... we kind of talked about it. My grandma has had... she cooked a lot of different stuff over the years, and I started to learn the things. She sent me a couple of note cards with all of her recipes, so I started making some of Grandma's dishes.
And you made the recipes, right?
And I did. I made a couple of them.
God.
I made her chicken casserole that she really likes, that my brothers love. I made beef stroganoff, which is one of my favorite meals of all time.
Yeah.
And that was really tough making that, I'll be honest with you. Because and Randy, she was so supportive and she was so nice about it. She could tell that it was really stressing me out. And I'm like, Randy,
how supportive, someone reaching over to the operator's forehead, dabbing the doctor's forehead.
She just looked at me. She's like, Matt, this dish is in your soul. You'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Okay.
And I just looked at her. I was like, yeah, I got this. But of course, it was like, is this too thin? And it's a simple dish. It's just, simmering some beef.
I like that though. Trying to house the recipe within.
Yes, and now I got it.
Trying to bake it into your subconscious. Yeah.
But too, my grandma's locked away. We talked about that. She's locked away. So it was really nice talking to her. I called her 3 or 4 times that day. She was loving it. And she's like, oh, and then I was texting her pictures of it. She's like, that looks so good. You did it really good. How did it taste? You make those connections. It bridged the gap for a little bit. It was really nice.
That's very nice, man.
So yes,
I've taken this opportunity to try to do some food-based stuff too. Hadn't normally done breaded chicken the other night. How often do you deep fry or bread chicken?
How'd it come out?
It came out great, specifically because I was being a little experimental. So we were a little low on what you call normal groceries. And then as opposed to using these breadcrumbs, we made our own. So I had this Swedish bread I got from my mom, Limpa.
Ooh,
have you had Limpa before?
I'm pretty sure I don't remember it, but yeah.
Some sort of party. but it's got like sort of a fennel taste, just a little bit different, like a brown bread.
Ooh.
But toasted that bad boy down. Of course, made the breadcrumbs out of it. Also made breadcrumb type mixture out of blue corn tortilla from Oberweis. I know you've been ordering from Oberweis, right?
Yep,
Your family?
Yep.
Shout out Oberweis. You've been feeding
It's like,
2 podcast hosts here.
It's that good milk, though. It's like that milk from Oberweis is like...
like a milk delivery service type company.
I'm telling my son, I was like, this won't last, so enjoy this while you got this. Jeez.
I still remember when my dad first told me that you're not going to be drinking this good milk forever, son, so don't get used to it too long.
Oh, man, grade A milk. Just like it says it right on there.
It's
like,
posh life. No, but I made limpa and then blue corn tortilla crusted chicken. So
that sounds
great.
awesome.
With a little mac and cheese. It's great.
It's fun to experiment. That's what I was doing too.
It is.
I did.
Limpa, related to my grandma. She used to buy that bread. So you're making your grandma's stuff.
Yeah.
I got my grandma's reverberations going on. It's fantastic.
Shout out to the Martinson girls.
Yeah, no shit. Shout out to the Swedes. Your grandma used to live pretty close to the location of this podcast, actually.
Yeah, right?
Like literally within 5 houses, actually.
Wow.
I forgot about that.
Ironically,
small detail.
Wait, ironically,
little history on this podcast.
My house is within 5 houses of my grandma's other house after she moved out of here. Did you know that? She
What?
lived. So I live on.
Wait, maybe I did hear this, but
So-
I'm only connecting how insane that is right now.
Especially that you just said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in a simulation, bro. The house that my mom grew up in.
That or we're in a certain socioeconomic class.
We just passed the same
you
shit.
can, you can read into that however you want.
The house that my mom and my aunt and Lorna raised them is like about 6 houses away from me if I counted them down the street. So that's super funny and weird. Insane connection we just made.
No, that absolutely is. So one of us is going to end up living in that nursing home that your grandma is. That's 100% how I'm seeing
Hopefully
this.
one of us buys it and then runs it. We just changed it. But yeah, no, it's
Dude,
just
that's a fucking movie if I've ever heard one. Like a rich old dude who needs to move into a nursing home, but he doesn't want to just be a nursing home resident, so he's like a billionaire that buys the nursing home, and then it's kind of like Blank Check, but for like an old man. If that makes any sense.
What a great
if
reference.
that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. That'd be great. And then he hollows out. You know what? It's more like Back to School when Rodney Dangerfield goes back to school.
That shit.
So instead of back to school, he goes to nursing home, right? He takes off the top floor, creates this giant penthouse suite, right? He's
God damn
fucking
it,
with
this
the
movie's already
orderlies,
been made.
Right? He's fucking with the orderlies all the time.
It's too bad Rodney didn't live because he could have made this nursing home movie with me. I think we could have done this together.
Dude, him in a wheelchair, just rolling him around, just fucking talking shit. It'd be great.
Speaking of, I used a Rodney Dangerfield clip briefly in a Jam Journal video I made before.
Nice.
Jam with Austin.
I love it.
And actually, the next podcast is going to be the first. I'm going to do a Jam Journal with your bro Austin and my buddy Rob, and then we're going to podcast after. It's going to be the first combination music podcast.
I heard and I can't wait.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did. I'm so excited. I was like, oh, God, it's so good.
One step back to Rodney, though, quickly. My dad actually sent me back to school while I was in college.
Really?
Yeah. Cool as shit. DVD in the mail.
Oh, man.
He original Netflix stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a good dad, though, sending you a fun movie like that.
Fantastic.
Man, I remember watching.
He's like, I know you're going to a Big Ten school, but don't lose your taste in good art. Okay? Take a look at Rodney. Don't lose your taste.
It's a masterpiece. I remember watching it with my dad and him getting super excited about the Triple Lindy and him just busting a gut about the Triple Lindy. Just that was it.
Yeah, it's a funny name, too. Do you remember what his character was back to school? Rodney Dangerfield or the family?
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember what.
Robert Downey Jr. is in that too, right?
Yes, he is. He's like his son's best friend, right? And he actually talked. I remember him talking about Rodney Dangerfield a little bit in some interview. But yeah, it's like he's like a rich guy, right? And his son's going to school, and it's something like he gets divorced or something, and the wife tries to take the company. It's almost like a Billy Madison thing where he's got to go to school to get the degree in order to save the fortune or something like that.
I got you. So he's like an old guy that has to move into a nursing home, so he decides to buy it. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, so he uses his money. To manipulate everything around him, and
What would that be called, by the way?
Oh man, I feel like it was on the tip of my tongue.
Folks, on the spot. Please feel free to comment what's this movie called. A billionaire buys a nursing home so that he can live in style, a la Blank Check, a la Back to School.
Man, this is gonna kill me. I'll throw it on and right at the end. I'll let the brain it's marinating right now, guys. I'll come up with something good. Or I'll text you on the way home, be like, son of a bitch.
We can call it trust fund trouble, and it can be about how like the family's upset that their trust fund is being spent on this nursing home. So then they all get like management positions, like staff positions in the nursing home to try to get the board to take control back away from this grandfather.
How about like old money or something like that? Just call it old money. You know what I mean?
Actually, someone, if you could do extensive database market research to see what would achieve the greatest return on investment for this.
Somebody help us frame this picture.
Yeah, thank you. Come on, I was hoping you'd say it.
Just set me up for it, you know.
Robert Downey Jr. He's done good since then. Although I think he had about 20 years where he didn't exist in Hollywood, right? That was that one of those like last ones he was in.
I think it was like
he
the
came back from
start of the spiral, right? So it was like back to school, and he was doing really good. Then he hit some rough patches in the 90s, and then that was terrible, right? Just terrible. Iron Man literally was like one of the first movies he did coming back, and it was like they talk about it because he only got. So here you go. Here, this will tell you. So for Endgame and Infinity War, he made $75 million. I can't remember if it was per movie or for both of them. $75 million. Okay.
Got to be for both.
So the
I would hope so.
I think
with that cast.
I think so.
It's got to be for both.
$75 million. But I think Chris Hemsworth actually made more. He got like 78 or something like that for some reason.
And they gave him a pool table. They sent some like
and a Picasso.
I'm like, look, well, I can't pay him more, but I'll send over a ping pong table.
I'll send over
something. What do you want? I mean,
it's a foosball table.
Chris,
it's
actually
what do you want? It was all in one. They gave him an all in one. It was a foosball, you know.
No, that's probably what Downey Jr. ended up bargaining.
Well,
if he got foosball, I want ping pong. I want
No, he got a pinball machine. He got a pinball machine, a classic pinball machine. So for Iron Man 1, he made $500,000. That was it. Like they were like, we'll take a risk.
That's what you call a little investment.
You know what I mean? We don't know if he's gonna show up completely coked out of his mind or what. So, but you know, you get $500,000, and I'm sure a percentage of the gross, like a tiny percentage.
Even Tony Stark had to pay his dues. So,
fuck, well, I mean, he is Tony Stark, right? Like he is Tony Stark. You know, I could go on and on about
it. I
thought
thought Elon Musk was Tony Stark.
Elon Musk is actually an Iron Man too, as himself.
He is briefly. I just watched a documentary on Elon. And more than like thinking about Elon, more than thinking about Tesla, SpaceX, of course, I've rooted this in myself. Like, God, I've gotten so old. I did not realize this person has been in the news like this like for this long. Because I remember SpaceX and hearing about the PayPal mafia a few years ago, all the people that came out of that successful company. Mm-hmm. But then I'm just like, God, Elon has kind of been chopping wood for 10 years. Yeah. And he kind of is fulfilling this Tesla vision. He's got a few different cars out now, flirting with crazy shit like the Cybertruck. I'm sorry. Do you put much stock in Elon? Am I bringing up this nobody figure to you?
No. I have a love-hate relationship with him.
Because people are obsessed with this guy.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with him. Like, he's a genius, but he's also kind of a monster. You know what I mean? Like, he's...
Okay, so you're treating him fairly. Nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah, right. Like he's
why monster though? I mean, he's just kind of like an artist, isn't he? Kind of like temperamental more. That's how I view him. More just that, he's looking to make waves, and people don't like waves in finance when there's a lot of money at stake and when there's a lot of stakeholders.
True, but I've heard like personality. You know me, I'm a personality. I've heard about his personality. That's a little, he's not the greatest. Like
mean, overbearing, Steve Jobs.
Right. I was gonna say
thing.
I guess he's apparently like, I
might not know because I just watched this 20-minute CNBC documentary on him online.
Yeah,
I wasn't reading his life story or anything.
Right. Like it all depends on what you're. You know what I mean? He's just he's like anybody. Like Steve Jobs. Like Steve Jobs was a genius. He did a lot of good things. Was he kind of a fucker? Did he have bad relationships with a lot of the people around him? Yeah, kinda. You know what I mean? And I think Elon's kind of the same. Do
you know who Grimes is?
Grimes.
Just had a child with Grimes, his girlfriend. She's
really
cool musician.
Yeah, that.
I don't know.
Grimes. Frank Grimes? That's like, I really thought Frank Grimes. Even when I see her name, I think Frank Grimes.
Elon Musk wrote the Frank Grimes episode. People don't know that about The Simpsons. Yeah. People don't know that one about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows what's up with Elon? Who knows what's up with Elon? He is working hard on this car thing.
He's
obviously starting fights with people to
get
the car company opened again.
And that's another thing. I feel like he constantly is talking out of his butt, right? Constantly talking out of his butt. Like he says all sorts of stuff. Like that just happen, you know, like he just feels like he can say anything sometimes, you know, and I'm like, why are you saying that, you know, like, you know, you don't.
But I think that's one of the reasons people do love
like
him, though.
right.
Yeah, is that he is a billionaire, but he's not like a crusty billionaire.
Right.
You know,
but he doesn't give a. It seems like he doesn't give a fuck, right? He just is like, you know, Tesla's overvalued. Let's take care of that, guys. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it's like he just doesn't give a shit. But he, you know, it also feels like he's one of those people that is functioning on another level.
I agree,
than
because
the rest
you know,
of the people, right?
You look at what the SEC fine is he gets for saying, "Oh, I'm taking Tesla private at 420." And then you look at what changed with his market cap after that, and you just realize, wait a minute, he's just doing like the Donald Trump philosophy, where he's making waves, and it doesn't really matter all the time if they're good or bad. He's just making sure he gets on people's screen.
Yes.
You know, when people look down and they're looking at their pixels, they're seeing some combination numbers and letters. It's either Tesla, their stock price, or the name Elon Musk.
Why do you think he went on Rogan? Why is he going on Rogan?
He just did that again. That's right. That's another thing that made me think of it.
Right after he had a kid.
Right
after he had a kid, he goes on Rogan. I was like,
Dude,
that's like a wow, dude. You know, when it
okay, but no, tell me, do you think it's about him having the kid though? I mean, it's about him.
I think it's just
in the factory, the plant. It's like
totally.
a political campaign.
Yes. It's all tied together. It's all tied together.
Which, you know, I don't blame him. He's a singular vision, I suppose.
Yes. No. I think it's all all together. Like, I just had this kid, and people are already talking about me. I have this. I think it's all. He's one of those people that can see at every level, like the decisions he makes. He sees what happens. So I think he's one of those people that, like, things are calculated. I don't think he's somebody who, like, just says, like, that's what the persona I think he's trying to go for, that he's a freewheeler, but I don't think he is. I think everything is, like, specifically, like, he knows.
No, I 100%
you know?
see it as the Donald Trump phenomenon, that he's a kind of being a media manipulator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Although, you know, I think you could use different percentages for each of those characters as to how much is intentional, how much is quote unquote natural. Obviously, you know, that instigation could just be built into it to a large degree. You know, someone who just has that kind of dynamic with their siblings or with their parents, or with
just the media in general. Like, you've been a figure for so long that you don't have any other way of interacting with this space or this group of people, right?
Yeah, it's your natural marketing mechanism.
It just comes naturally, right?
Yeah.
It's like breathing, to be antagonistic or to rock the boat, or, you know what I mean, to do whatever you want. And, you know, it rolls off your shoulders, doesn't matter, because you've been doing this for so long. You know what I mean? I feel the same with things, you know. He's been doing this for long. He knows how to play the game.
Yeah, and he has had quite a few companies going on.
Yeah. He's South African, right?
Quite a string. He's from there, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Elon. Yeah, I guess he was saying. I mean, I shouldn't be gossiping on Elon Musk.
I know that was the thing.
The reason I was watching his stuff is because I've actually been looking up car stuff originally. So I was looking up all this car stuff.
You gonna get that Cybertruck?
Which is, I would consider it if it was out. No, not at this point. Not at this point. Until I can find a way where I'm in the course of doing business with that Cybertruck.
And you can use it.
If I ever become like a cyber ninja.
Oh my God, though! Like,
I'll have that as a tax write-off.
See, and like that idea for him is like the vision, like his vision of like this like science fiction. He did it. He made a freaking Cybertruck, right? Like, so his vision, he's bringing it into reality, right?
He is
SpaceX, like the idea of colonizing Mars. He sent his red convertible, his red Tesla with a CD to Mars. Like, that's like science fiction shit.
You bring up him sending the physical vehicle out into space. That's great because, I mean, that's framing, right? How do you imagine getting around a car? What's the craziest place to go? Space. Send a car to space, because then it kind of feels like you're going there in your, 2008 Toyota Camry or whatever you're driving. It kind of feels like you're up there.
Right, those pictures of the guy in the seat, right? And it was pictures that they took on the car that they transmitted back, and it was him, or it was like Earth behind him, and he's just sitting in the car, and it's like an album cover again. Like, he's just and I'm like, that's the optics, the framing, like how that looks, it's incredible, right? Like, and he's got the lock on that. Like, he's got a car going to Mars.
He's got a good enough sense of humor too, because I think it's important not only, again, have good ideas, but how you give the good ideas.
Yeah, you can't take everything so seriously.
Put the guy sitting maybe in a very specific way in the car, while you're shooting it up to the moon.
Hell, him in Iron Man, right? To go back to that, he in that movie is equivalent to Iron Man. Him and Tony Stark are like, oh, hey, we're doing this patent together or something like that, blah blah blah. Like,
he says like, I can make you an all electric plane.
Something right? But it's like he puts himself on that level. So even in fiction, Elon Musk and Tony Stark are best friends, right? So it's like,
so he's been doing that a long time. I mean,
Iron Man 2 came out when, like,
to get specific about the marketing, right. I don't know, 2007.
I was gonna say 2008. Something like that, yeah. It had to be.
Something of the
Something
sort.
like that. But like, he's already been doing that for so long, putting the frame of like him and Tony. You know what I mean? You got to think like that. I'm sure, I don't know if it was his idea or they're like, come on, help, or it could have been mutually beneficial, right?
Elon, we've got a tremendous idea for you. Something that audiences are gonna fucking love.
Lap it up.
We'll just be licking this up. Just be loving it. Should I go off the page? I haven't really hit anything off the page yet.
Because you know what?
Because we're flying.
So we don't need it.
We're
No, but please go ahead. Come on. No,
You
honestly.
fuck it. No, time out. We can wait to see what's relevant next time. We can see what ages well. This can be like a different kind of experiment.
James, if you don't print out that piece of paper and tell me what you wrote down, I am going to be so
I'm going to
upset.
give you one, and then if we happen to make it back to another one. I just want to justify making it, man.
Right, I know.
I fucking wrote this a page.
You spent time on this.
18-point font, but still, I wrote a page, everyone.
Double spaced?
No, it's handwritten.
Courier new font?
Actually, can we start with something that's not on the page that's related to the page? How do you feel about handwriting versus typing? Actually, we talked about this before.
Yeah. Ooh,
handwriting and typing?
Way back when, right?
Everyone, this is where I'm going to look back to the podcast to see if he gives the same answer.
I know,
I'm
right?
testing his AI for continuity.
I believe what I said, and I will say it again, is when you write something down by hand, it feels more permanent. When you do something on, digitally or on, it doesn't feel as I believe that's the same thing I wrote.
I would say most people consume this podcast digitally, and I don't know, I feel that this has got to be the most breathtaking moment in their lives. This very instant, just watching this in this moment.
When I click it on YouTube, I'm literally just go, my heart skips and I have to catch my breath really quick.
Yeah, a flutter isn't even doing it justice. I got to set your heart ablaze.
Skips a beat every time. Yes, this is digitally. I don't know. There's something real about writing it on a page. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you mess something up, you gotta scratch it out. It's real.
It is.
It's the same reason why I never want. I shouldn't say never, but I don't read Kindles or Fires or anything.
Because Matt's real.
I'm
okay.
Fucking real, dude.
Because Matt's real. Okay. He sees what's up, and he's real about it. And he sees it again.
Still
he
real.
Stays real. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be real.
But yeah, I like physical copies of books. I don't like digital copies.
I do too.
I have a comic book collection that's huge, and people are like, dude, you got to go digital. Just read all. You can read everything, but it's like that's not the point. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna start.
Not the point.
I have a business idea for this podcast. Ready?
Ready?
By the way, business ideas are a huge thing with me now. Like this podcast alone, I'm gonna have at least 10 now from moving forward in each podcast. But new business idea for this podcast specifically. Podcast 22 business idea. Write it down. This one's gonna be a bookstore or like a book company. I'm a publisher. I print books, but I print books in a font that's 2 sizes bigger. So if you get like War and Peace in size 12, I'm going to get War and Peace printed in size 14. So that way your library is like those 2 percentage points or 2 points in font larger. Overall, maybe 10% larger volume. It's like this person seems 15% smarter for some reason.
I hate to tell you.
But it's just because the font size of your books.
There are large print.
God damn it.
fonts.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
large
small
prints.
font.
Yeah,
small
it's large
font. Tiny books. Tiny library.
For the elderly, right? They have to have the large print for their books. So they're Tolstoy, they're Faulkner. They need the large print,
Really?
I'm serious. I've seen it. Large print.
Damn.
Yeah.
What
large
did you
print.
see printed in large?
I don't know. I've been in I used to go to half price books. I'd go there and I'd just browse and you'd see
Was it
books
like
in large print
a
and stuff
Consumer
like that.
Reports magazine for dialysis machines or something?
Yeah, something specifically for older people.
I'd just be curious what specifically they were marketing.
Yeah, no, I can't remember, but there's just large print books. Like it's a thing.
Well, fuck that.
Yeah, and you gotta go tiny now. Go tiny. You gotta go tiny.
Well, fuck that idea. Okay, no,
You gotta
dude,
get tiny.
even better. You're right. Everyone's moving to cities. All the population trends show people moving to more dense areas. You want to show off your library. You want the feathers in your peacock plume, but you actually don't want the extra volume and size. So my new business idea, second of the podcast, this one's probably going to be a subsidiary of the first based on some sort of sheltering we'll come up with. This one's going to be half the size. So the War and Peace came in size 12. This one's coming in size 6 font. And then we'll sell like specialty magnifying glasses and shit like that.
That was the thing. I was like, you could do really teeny tiny ones and have like the glasses come over and then like the tick, 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 and then like it gets like so it's really fine and then you're like, oh, I can read this now, and then you just go really,
That could be for security too, because once you get like the Google Glass in your eye or the I don't know, the sort of the
That's
lens.
what I thought of the Google Glass. Do you remember the Google Glass?
Zooms it for you.
Where I had that little like thing that came over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember because you briefly had one, but
yes, yeah, my dad got one as like a joke.
Insane,
he got it as like
yeah.
he's like,
honestly, good joke, because nothing has come around in like 5 years since that.
No.
If the same thing came out a year later and it was like $50, it would have seemed stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, I kind of miss that thing.
But it was the screen was so tiny, you know what I mean? And it's like the way it worked was so like, you had to really get used to it.
I don't know, but I know that they're still pushing AR for contacts. Like recently, I know that's been a thing because I've been looking at projection mapping, which is AR technology for basically just shooting light, using a projector to shoot light in a very specific way. Sort of like 2D holograms.
Yes, right.
When R2D... I'm trying to put things in terms you'll understand. When R2D2 shoots out Princess Leia...
How about Tupac at Coachella, bro? Come on, I can understand that too,
Tupac's,
God, everything's going to go back to Star Wars, all right? Listen, when you can make a fucking laser sword for me, then I want to,
Someone actually, I think it was Austin. He just, your bro, he just put things in terms of what a lightsaber was. He said that having I think it was some sort of feature for the coronavirus era, it became the equivalent of having a lightsaber now. It was like you need a mask to be a Jedi or something, like a face mask. But it wasn't that exactly.
It's my brother. Star Wars metaphors.
Exactly. I figured I'd mention to you in case you were kicking it around the house or something, in case somehow it came up.
I just bought a lightsaber for my daughter.
Did you really?
Yeah, like 2 days ago. I got her one for her birthday, and she got a better one from somebody else. But then I was looking online, and I saw there was a purple one, and she's really wanted her purple one, and it's like fully licensed. It's like somebody's purple lightsaber. So I'm going to surprise her with it, and she's going to be super stoked.
Didn't Samuel L. Jackson's character in Star Wars have the purple one?
He's the only one with a purple lightsaber. That was the deal.
That is a fucking great reason to get that one.
Yeah, he specifically asked, what's his name? George Lucas. He's like, I want a purple lightsaber, and Lucas was like, okay.
He asked that one guy, head of Lucasfilm, what's that
his
fuck's name?
The one with the glasses, the fucking guy.
No, but wait, you know this for a fact that he requested his color on his lightsaber?
Yes, absolutely. This is a common.
Well.
Yeah. Because
he picked well.
Everyone, it was in the originals it was blue and red, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want a signature color?
Green. Luke got green in the third one because it was his color, right?
And they want to sell toys. No, but that's amazing to me.
You took it out of my mouth, and I was going to bring it back to that. So for consumerism, but yes, that was what it was, right? Like to make more toys. That's why Boba Fett exists. Boba Fett, the very popular character.
I forget all the examples. Is that one of them?
He's one of those ones.
Yeah.
There was a whole setup where they had all the bounty hunters, and it's like a 2-minute scene in the movie, 3-minute scene. But that 2-minute bounty hunter scene has spawned millions of dollars worth of merchandise and toys.
They're like, George, we want you to have a seat. We ran some numbers. We found out that helmets in the toy space are extremely profitable.
Oh, he's a genius. He sold it to Fox when he sold it to 20th Century Fox. He's like, listen, you can have it. All I want is the licensing for the toys.
Yeah.
And they were like, sure, no problem.
It's a smart investment.
Oh my God, the amount of money he made from the toys, and then the variations on the toys, and all. You know what I mean? That's the money.
That's almost like Robert Downey Jr. Starring in Iron Man 1 for a pittance.
Yeah, take it.
Just so he could take $75 million.
You bet on
for
yourself.
1 to 2 movies.
You bet on yourself, right? Oh my God. But then they were actually. Back to him real quick. He's in, Spider-Man Homecoming, right? He's a character in that. He's in the screen total maybe like 15, 20 minutes all told. He's in it for a couple minutes. He got like $15 million for that, for just like the quick appearance. You know what I'm saying? Like
just your name almost at that point. To put you on the bill.
It's crazy.
The poster.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it takes. Gwyneth Paltrow, she's in, the Avengers movies, and she was on the show Chef with Jon Favreau. And he was talking. I can never say his name.
Sorry, I love him.
No, I know, me too. I love him so much, and I can't say his name. I remember watching Swingers from the very beginning. I knew he did Iron Man. He did. I'm a big fan of him. The Mandalorian. I just can't fucking say his last name to save my life.
You ready for this? Jon Favreau would have been as famous as Vince Vaughn if he had as good of a name as Vince Vaughn.
True.
How about that, John?
Actually,
that's all. John, change your last name now. I have 2 last names. I know it's not too late. Add a second one. Don't use one. Use one of the others. It's up to you, man.
While I agree with that premise, I think he has had a much better career than Vince Vaughn has, and will continue to have a much better career than Vince Vaughn.
No dispersions. Hey, I love them both.
Yeah, right.
The Chicago area, Vince.
Yeah, right. Vince Vaughn. Yeah. If you're right, though.
Praise and blessings be upon you.
I'm glad, though, he didn't have a good name, because then he would be in front of the camera more than behind the camera.
They actually are a good example of that. One person stood in front of the camera, one stood behind. They both had a voice. voice.
Hey, he was still an elf. He was the doctor in Elf, you know?
Yeah,
He directed it too.
No,
but,
you
know,
did. That's
yeah.
right. You did make it in there, though.
But like, like so many things that guy has done, it's a weird tangent, has turned to like money. Like Elf, huge, right? He did the Jungle Book, that live action Jungle Book. And then they were like, that was so good. Then they let him do The Lion King. That was so good. Now he's doing The Mandalorian, and they basically gave him Star Wars now.
Right.
Star Wars is like, you did so good on this. I watched, God, I don't even want to get into it, but
Don't.
There did a making.
I'm don't fucking with you.
It's a making of. They put on Disney Plus a making of The Mandalorian, right? And we talked about that's right up my alley, like behind the scenes making of, and it just talks about his process.
Yeah, that's getting to my interest. The projector mapping thing I mentioned earlier. That was like the on-demand green screening. Right?
You should check it out.
They were
dude.
shooting the green screen behind the people.
Storybook it's called. I remember reading the article about it, and I just read an article. I couldn't see any pictures, so when I was visualizing it, it was like, this is incredible. But then when you see it, it's even beyond. Like it's beyond the way they can literally move this. But it's so.
I know. I got
crystal clear.
I gotta say, it's got to be pretty crazy at this point because now even with the consumer technology that I have access to, like having a camera gimbal, which is basically having a robot arm that just holds your device, having those sort of stabilization efforts, that makes me feel like I'm a major studio. Even now, with the sound processing that you can get done at home, the fact that we're shooting this, we just switched to outdoors,
right?
For making this happen.
Shooting this shit in 4K outdoors, 3
At
camera,
home.
you know what I mean? Like, whoa, it's really cool. And I know he's been like pushing those technologies and developing those technologies. He was really big into like the live action digital movies like The Lion King, right? It's all CGI, but it all looks like real stuff, right?
I want more like practical effects. I feel like there's a history, or not a history. There's going to be a future there.
I told you that story about Back to the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda, right? Like he's a practical effect, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And Werner Herzog, who's in the first episode, was like, "Do not be cowards. Make the puppet real." He was like, "Don't make it a CGI thing."
That's right. We did talk about that. That's why it's coming up, actually. I love it. On that note, actually, I was looking at expensive projector mapping technology, but then I realized I should just put lights on the bottom of my drum heads for my drum set and shoot like different colors of light through the skins, so they're illuminated. The head is perfectly illuminated then. There's no light bleeding. But why do I need a huge projector if I can just make this happen with
Simple,
3 light bulbs?
Make it simple, right?
Yeah.
You can go high. You can go like the $1 billion idea, or you could go like what I mean, rogue. You could try to like maverick. Be a maverick about it.
What kind of lightsaber did you get? Did you get the $1 billion lightsaber, or did you get one that's just a toy? Hey Zoe.
It's like a $20 toy. It's no big deal.
What's up, Zoe?
There's a girl.
My dog came out. Hey. First appearance. Zoe's first appearance. Hey baby.
This is also I talked to my son.
Hi, baby.
Dogs at this time.
It's great.
I treat my female dog like my firstborn son. Actually,
you should
just like Harrison.
Because you're beautiful. You're so beautiful.
You are beautiful.
I love.
Have you started to have we should get a dog talk? Has that happened at the house?
Yes.
Has it really?
It's in full swing. It's in full swing. This has been a wow. This has been a thing. It's so funny you bring it up because yes, for the last several months,
the universe brought it up. Zoe's out here. She wanted me to ask. Zoe's like, push the dog talk.
Sad aside first. We lost like a bunch of our dogs in the last year. My family-in-law in New York, they had my Randy's dog Shadow, who we used to have, and then he went to New York to be on the outdoors. And then they had Zoe, and then they had Blazer, and these were dogs that had been around forever. And within a year, all 3 of them passed away.
Oh my gosh.
It was like boom, boom, boom. Shadow went first, then Zoe, which was kind of a surprise, but it turned out she was sick. And then Blazer, who we thought was going to last so long, or who's going to go first, went the longest. But after a while, he just got sad. He got sad. You know what I mean? Like his brother.
My God.
So that house was full of dogs, 0 dogs. And then my childhood dog, Abby, died 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So we had this kind of hole, you know what I mean?
Been there. And you have a couple cats, just for context.
Oh yeah, I love my cats.
Specifically 3 cats?
2 cats.
2 cats?
2 cats, yeah. Conan and Stark.
What'd you do with the 3rd cat?
We ate them. That's quarantine, you got to eat.
Seems like kind of a dick move, but I get it. Yeah. I totally get it. I've met your cats. No, so now this is calm. Have you actually called the shelter and seen what the options are? How deep are we talking? Are you just looking online when you get drunk with the wife, or what's happening?
So I've been we're getting a puppy. And I know right now it's not really feasible for getting a dog, but I keep throwing it out there. We're getting a dog.
So you're pushing this agenda?
Well, Harrison wants a dog. He loves pups. He loves puppies.
Harrison wants a dog. hey, Harrison, do you want a dog,
I
buddy?
say it to him. I was like, you want to get a puppy? And he's got the cutest. So he does this thing. He doesn't say like yes or no. He goes, okay. You know, he's like whispers, okay. So I go to him like, hey, you want a puppy? And he's like, okay. And it's like it's the cutest thing.
It's great.
So I'm like, hey, Randy, look at him. Do you want a puppy, Harrison? He's like, yeah. Okay.
You know, most things, if you whisper someone wants something, they're likely
really
to say
want it.
yes.
So he loves the puppies. You know, puppy walks by up front. He just goes bananas. So I was pushing it. And then, you know, Randy's like, no, this is stupid. No, we're not getting a dog. This last couple weeks, she's like, well, I was looking online and, you know, I was thinking about it.
So you planted the seed.
I don't know. Well, my sister started working at a shelter, too. Michelle started working at a shelter.
Oh, that's right.
So she started texting pictures and, you know.
What am I thinking? Of course.
You
Of
see.
course, I know this.
You see all of the.
Michelle is the hookup.
And so
she can get you one of the good adopted dogs too,
yes,
like Zoe.
Yes, exactly. You know, a beautiful dog like that, right? Because like we can't feasibly we can't get a puppy. Puppies are, as much as I'd like to get a puppy and raise it from birth, it's like expensive and all that. And you know, there's so many nice dogs that are a little older. You know.
You don't want something cuter in the house. Just say it, man. You can make it seem like it's the expensiveness.
Nothing can be cuter than me.
You can make it seem like it's the cost of the puppy.
But yeah, so, you know, and so she's kind of like, well, yeah. And then we were joking, and, you know, then a brindle-colored dog walked by. And we both looked at each other and were like, yeah, brindle-colored, right? And she's like, mm-hmm. And so now we're like...
Let me translate. What the fuck are you talking about? Brindle?
Brindle, it's a color dog. You know, the dogs that look... I'm not even joking. You've never heard of this before?
Nah.
Okay, so... nah.
No, I haven't.
Brindle
just help me out. I gotta reveal.
You see those dogs that look like hyenas, where they're like kind of brown and black and like kind of spotted. You know, they're not
gray?
like...
Too?
Gray, yeah, gray. It's like a very
am I thinking of Lion King? Are they actually brown and Lion King are gray?
Well, it's like I say like hyena color, but like, you know, they have like kind of like, man.
Some spotting?
Yeah, like kind of spotting. It looks more like a I don't know.
Corona-infected lung tissue?
Like a zombie dog. No, it's like you know, it's like more like spotted and brown and black and kind of like, you know. If I showed you a brindle, you'd be like, oh yeah, of course, I've seen dogs like that. That's brindle colored, you know, like it's
You're
not.
Saying
plain
brindle is a color. Is are you familiar with heathering in a t-shirt? Like a heathered t-shirt, like it's a gray with like a little with little speckles in it.
Maybe it's
like heathered cotton.
Yeah, maybe it's like a brindle like that. Like I don't know, but it's like okay, wow, that'd be really funny if it was like the dumbest thing I said on the podcast.
I'm so hoping we're converging onto the same area here.
And, but yeah, so it's like a weird colored dog, but we're on the same page, so we're getting closer to this, you know, this colored dog. I wish I had a thing to show you a brindle thing.
Hey man, I'll put up a brindle.
Yeah, please do that in the middle.
I'll put up a brindle of the first thing I Google right here. I'll put up the brindle. Okay.
All right. See, this is what I'm talking about. Do you guys all understand?
And then I'm saying that's the first thing I'll Google. Do you want me to put up a different brindle? You can give me a different number. Give me the row on Google.
I'll send you a picture of a brindle colored dog that now you see here. Okay, and then so this is what my idea of a brindle colored dog is. Okay,
I got you.
So maybe they'll match and maybe they won't match, but we'll find out.
For those of you listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, you're screwed.
But
who's listening to this? You're all watching this. You gotta see this.
At this point, yeah, at this point. Well, this is going to be sold to Netflix, so we probably shouldn't have the audio-only version at that point.
They don't want it. There's no murder in here.
Oh,
we're
competition.
We're not solving a true crime in some way. There's not interested in this.
You know, the thing about that is I'm going to do this podcast for like 600 episodes.
The thing about it.
Maybe 660. No, you know what? 666 episodes, and then one of us is going to get murdered on this.
One of us? It's going to be me.
No, dude, I'll go behind the camera at that point. I'll be the one who's murdered. I'm going to kill myself off the podcast, and then the rest of it will be you trying to figure out my murder.
No, to prove that I didn't murder you, because everyone's going to assume that I was the murderer now.
I feel like you'd have an alibi, considering there'd be full HD video of you not doing it.
Listen,
sitting far away.
We've all seen Making a Murderer. If they want you, they're going to come for you, okay? Let's be honest.
Sitting an appropriately socially distanced amount away.
Well, hopefully by then, by 666 episode, hopefully there's been therapies and a vaccine, so we can, you know, go back to hugging and kissing everybody.
You're either vastly underestimating my producing ability or overestimating the vaccine ability. Something.
One of those two, right? Yeah.
Something there. Definitely something going on. We're going to do another one of these soon. It's going to be probably, you know, a week, 10 days. Won't be too much longer. Probably squeeze one in.
Yeah.
I have not found that doing it weekly has been easy. Like, I feel like...
Well, just like we said, like, the days just kind of roll together. Like, all of a sudden it's Saturday. Okay, so we shot the first one we did during the Corona thing, and that was like, oh, we'll make it again next week. And then that Saturday rolled around, and it was like 2 o'clock, and I was like, wait, am I supposed to... oh man, it's now. You know, like I
Right.
totally spaced out, and I
felt
literally did the same thing. You know,
I felt the same way.
It
And I
doesn't-
did that. We both did the same thing before. So it is that 7 days isn't the same.
it doesn't
anymore.
feel like it anymore. It's like,
Okay.
oh man, you know. And then so now I'm like, oh, we got to, you know. So now it's been about 10 days, like, you know.
I never brought up that thing that was on the clipboard here. I prepared this whole page, man. I never got a single thing out. Can I give
Wow.
you one of the topics, or can we?
No, I don't want any now. No, yeah, please, come on, just one. Just give me one.
It wasn't
give me
even.
one.
It wasn't even topics. I just wanted to talk this out with you, like
Yeah.
in the moment, since this is what this is anyway. I realized part of what I love about making media is related to broadcasting.
Oh.
Like both things that I've done so far, this in the Jam Journal, which is just the live improvised music, not live, but live for me shooting it. It has to do with there not being edits in a way. Like I do edit it, but like it is the genuine flow of how it is with me and you in the room. It is a real broadcast in a way. Like this is something we could do live.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could stream live.
Absolutely.
And you used to be like a major broadcaster. What do you think it is that I'm finding it to be alluring about broadcasting? What am I into? What is it about the broadcast? You knowing me, you knowing what you know about broadcasting, what do you think the connection is there? Because there's a lot of challenges in it, because you have to respond in the moment to maybe topical stuff, right? So you have to stay abreast. You know, if we're bringing up companies' names or
Yeah.
policy, you brought up the Michigan thing I didn't know about. Like you kind of have to be on it. You can't stop, look it up, and then get into it.
I think, I shouldn't speak for you, but I think we're having
In
similar.
general, then fine. In general,
We share similar things. I think we like to converse. We like to like, I don't. It's very highfalutin sounding, but educate. You know what I mean? I like to like talk to people. You know what I mean? I like to have big ideas and I like to discuss them. Like, and I think part of me.
I like that.
Part of me wants to educate people. Part of me wants to like let people know all of the crazy shit floating around this brain. You know, like.
That makes sense, because a big part of me like wants to be educated myself. Like I feel like I'm doing this to ask you questions.
But it works both
And,
ways.
like,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So the things I know, I can bring to the table. And when I talk to somebody else, especially in the podcast form, you know so much more about, like, you know, I feel like for us, you know, you're a lot more grounded. You like financials and real things. I'm like fucking space cadet. I like multiverses and comic books. You know what I mean? I think so. Like, the things that I bring to it and the things you bring, I think they like fit. So to have a conversation with somebody about that, especially in the context of this podcast, it's so rewarding, right? It's so rewarding. And then too, like, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna toot our own horns, but I think we do pretty good. You know, pretty good. We
No. But okay, look, you know, I see what you're saying.
You don't want to let me keep going about how awesome we
No,
are.
because I want to know. We can do, you know, you even saying that we're doing pretty good. How is it as it relates to broadcasting? Could we do good in broadcasting better than we could in an edited Radio Lab like podcast?
I think if we did do it live.
Why aren't you Ira Glass, Matt?
Why am I not Ira Glass?
Yeah, why do you have to be freeform, shooting off the cuff? Why do you have to be improvisational in nature?
I don't know. I've always been more of a wing it kind of guy. You know, I feel like that's the way my brain works, you know. I'll never forget oral communications. Everyone had to take a speech class, you know, in high school, right?
I did not, but
you didn't have to take a speech? Yeah.
No.
I got like 120%.
No, I just self-produced the podcast
Yeah, right.
15 years later.
Yeah, right.
and they're like, you know, we looked in the future. You're good.
You're good.
You're doing this on your free time.
You'll
we
be
get
fine
it.
with it. I've always been one to just do it off the cuff, right? I love being off the cuff. I love just, you know, truthfully, I think one of my...
Matt, give us an off-the-cuff opinion. No.
No. No.
You ever just shoot off the cuff?
Just fucking...
Just throw us
throw whatever bullshit's on the top of your head. No. Really,
Matt,
you guys want to talk about the multiverse?
Matt,
No.
worst idea. Let's hear Matt's worst idea.
Too many to count. But like, you know, comedians, which they are not at all off the cuff. You work on your material and all that stuff till it becomes, you know, what it seems like off the cuff and live. But like...
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, right. Something
You're
about...
saying we're as polished and well crafted as a genuine comedian.
Not at all.
This is exactly what you're saying.
Apple and oranges. I'm just saying that there's something to be said about, like, you know, just shooting off the cuff. You could have a lot of good fun and a lot of like interesting stuff when it's just like things are popping and you're like, oh, you didn't think of that, and you know, there's something beautiful about the conversation, right? I love the conversation.
But what is it about the beauty? I kind of feel like part of me, I'm just like desperate for authenticity.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
stuff that's too polished. It's just
edited. You know, I don't like
not
things
even
like that. Like you said, edit it. Could you imagine if this was all chop, chop, chop? Or like, we had that was a good 5 minutes we talked, and then just cut out some of it to talk about the 5 minutes? Or if we had like a lot of ums, right? Well, yeah, I guess, sure, yeah, that sounds good, I guess.
I've been digitally removing each I've ever made in this podcast.
I've never really had an opinion about that. Like what? You know what I mean? Like, no.
If I was gonna digitally remove anything, it would be every time I said stakeholder. I think would be a better one.
I'm sure there's some shit that I say all repeatedly that somebody that Austin will tell me, like, actually you say this like 5-6 times an episode.
When you notice you start to repeat things, is it
1 hour of pleasant conversation is complete. Please return to your coronavirus isolation lifestyle.
I don't want to.
Yeah, speaking of when you start to repeat things,
I don't
been an
want
hour.
to.
It's been an hour. No, but when you start to repeat things, do you notice at the very moment you feel like you repeated it twice in one day? Is it that you only watch it upon like recap, like when you're rewatching this on YouTube?
No, I've noticed when I say things over again. There's a word I've been using a lot lately, dicey. I've been using the word dicey a lot. I don't know if you've heard in the podcast, but I've been using the word dicey. And it's such a great, it's like, it's a little dicey, and it's a perfect description of the current situation we're all in. Because it's all a little dicey right now. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a little dicey.
Should you
right
go to
now.
Jewel? It's a little dicey right now.
That's right.
And I've been
Should
throwing
you
that
play
one a lot.
4-on-4 soccer? Should you go on a walk with 10 other people?
Are you ready to open up your bubble and do some bubble math? It's a little dicey.
It's a little dicey right now.
So I've been saying it a lot, and I noticed my mom saying it, and I was like, oh, I gave that to her. She's been, So I've been like, sometimes I'll think about a word and it'll notice me saying it a lot more, and then I'll be like, God, lay off that word. You know what I mean?
Can I use "It's a Little Dicey" right now for the title?
Sure.
Nice.
It's a little dicey.
Well, thanks for naming it.
Yeah, I try.
You can do it.
Oh man, I was gonna say, it's trying to come up with the Rodney Dangerfield title, and it was like, old man.
Oh my God.
Old man on the house. Old man of the house. Something like that. Instead of man of the house, it's octogenarian of the house. I was trying. I was like, I'll come up with one, and sorry guys.
Okay, actually, can I let's build one before we end, because I do want to end on a high note.
Okay.
Here. So let's come up with a couple.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you prompts.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make this easier for you just by narrowing it down. Okay. So I'm going to give you one of the words, and you got to tell me what the other word is.
Perfect.
In the movie. So just to summarize, in case anyone's jumped in on this 1 hour and 3-minute podcast.
Listen, I've seen the stats. It goes down. No one's listening. There's like 2 or 3 people still listening.
I made a joke earlier about a billionaire owning his own nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarity ensues. But the word you're going to be using for this, okay,
Ready.
is geezer. So what's another word you can use with geezer for this nursing home billionaire movie?
Gazillionaire geezer.
All right, can we do one more?
Sure, yeah.
Excellent.
I love it. That was good. Gazillionaire geezer.
Just to see how it goes. Little do you know that this is, I have topics for this written on this sheet of paper. This whole one sheet of paper.
I really want to see this. I can't wait to see this. And I'm going to be like, we should have said that too. All right. We'll save it for next time. 10 days from now.
Okay, this one is going to be CEO. CEO. Chief Executive Officer.
Cheif Executive Octogenarian.
Okay, so folks, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Got it.
Bye-bye. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.